Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another Loki-centric episode of I Heart Geek. Yay! Episode 3. Contrary to popular belief, there is a lot in this episode. I've been hearing some things, and people are like, "Oh, it's a filler episode. Why are they doing a filler episode with only 6 episodes?" I think there's a ton to this. Oh, yeah, this is why I don't listen to most shows on YouTube.
Where are people getting filler episode off of this? I was like, me watching this, I was like, finally, I'm in. The whole thing. I was
Really?
like, yes.
That's awesome.
I freaking loved this episode.
Let's do our intros.
My rear.
Exactly. Let's do our quick intros. I'm Dub. I do stuff. I'm here with Michelle. I'm here with Blythe. I'm here with Satomi. Oh my gosh, Courtney is taking the week off because dog stuff.
Okay, I'll let that slide. Dogs.
I won't, but I'm a cat person.
So what was your guys's? We'll do our kind of thing. What was your initial thoughts on this episode before we begin? Yeah.
I already started talking, so I'm just going to keep talking.
No.
To me, I don't say anything. Never. You guys.
Oh my gosh.
I totally love this episode. It was so much fun. And there were margaritas. Hello.
Can we just make a rule that she has to talk like that?
Do I have to talk like this? Because I did grow up in California.
She'll totally do it
so
all day long.
I will do it the whole time, but I will. I'm sure it will make people mad. So I will stop, and I'll only bring it out when necessary.
When margaritas
are imbibed.
Cruel language. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's gonna be like Star Trek: The Experience. We're gonna have what is it? Lumentis.
Luminous.
Luminous 1.
Yeah, Luminous 1.
See, I turned it into
Lamentis. Because it's lament, yeah.
Okay, so Lamentis 1, it'll be like Star Trek: The Experience. It'll be Lamentis 1, The Experience. And they'll have, the drinks that explode. So fun. So fun.
Don't get on the arc.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, what did you think of this one?
Oh, I thought she was still going.
You want me to keep going? I will keep going.
She will. We give her a time limit for a reason.
Play me off like at the Oscars.
I mean, I know we're going to get into all the little details, but absolutely love this episode. And for anyone who's been, well, hopefully you're all watching. For the people who've heard on the first episode when I was just kind of on the fence because I had just met this Loki, Dub was already in love with him, and I was still just like, I want to date him for a little bit. I'm full on. I've decided.
Are you going steady?
Yeah.
Aww.
I've decided that I heart him completely, and it was this episode, and I think well, no, we'll get into it. It was this episode.
Why school me, man?
I hated it. It was probably the worst episode.
I want to punch you so much right now. Just right now.
No, it was. It was great, and it was a lot of character building, which I enjoyed a lot. I think there's still a bit of mystery surrounding Sylvie. That it's kind of up in the air whether. I wouldn't put it past Marvel to completely make her a Loki, and all speculation about her being an enchantress is wrong. She just has the power to enchant. But yeah, all around a good episode, and really solid cliffhanger episode too. I really want next week's episode to come out so we can see how they get out of what they're into.
I am so mad that I agree with you again, Blythe. We'll pack it in later, but it's always a bad sign when I agree with Blythe because that means I'm probably wrong.
It's very short-lived, though. It's very short-lived.
We're good.
You guys will disagree in about 5 seconds.
That's kind of the fun of it. Now, before we start, spoilers! If you have not watched Loki, episode 3, please do not listen to this episode. You will not enjoy it, and B, it will ruin everything for you. There are surprises in this that just boo. Please go watch it, and then we'll wait for you. Just hit pause and then go watch your Loki. Now, have you guys? I gotta say this real quick. Have you seen the new Hyundai commercials?
No.
Oh, you're
No,
with their little robot, right?
no. It's got
That looks like the.
no. It's got the Wanda, and it's got Falcon, and it has Loki in it. So I just kind of made my day a little bit.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Okay.
Look up the
I haven't seen
Hyundai
that.
commercial. It's like, I love that these shows are actually becoming a cultural phenomenon enough that everybody knows who they are enough that the advertisers are actually using them.
Except that I
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of hate
cool.
that the advertisers are using them.
Well, it's Disney owns them, so you think they're not going to get their $3 billion back or
Oh, I'm
whatever?
sure they will. And I'm sure
All about the
Hyundai pays them
money.
a lot of money to
Come on.
do that.
So tell me, you have to appreciate a good sellout.
Yeah, I do. And I mean, let's be honest. Given the opportunity, I'll take the money.
Every one of us would. Sorry.
Yeah, every one of us would sell out in 2 seconds.
iHeartRadio, yes, the show is for sale. I will let you have it.
I have a mortgage, so let's go.
Just saying. So this episode is called Lamentis, which is lamentation, which means, hey, this is we're going to be upset about some stuff because there was a lot of talky in this, but it worked. Again, I don't feel like this was a filler episode whatsoever. I thought this was yeah. So let's get to my first complaint. Since I just decided to talk about how much I loved it. It starts with the music, and I love this song, but it did not feel like a Marvel
You mean
intro.
the credit? The
The
credit music?
Yeah, though.
You know what's so funny? I completely disagree with you. I mean,
We're talking about the song. We're not talking about the Loki music with the theremin.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
We're talking about
No.
the actual pop song they had at the beginning.
The
which-
the Marvel opening.
Yeah, it's got like.
I would disagree only because Marvel has been doing this for a while now. They did it in front of it was I think it was Endgame. They did it in front of Infinity War. They're putting
I think I do complain about that a lot. Yeah.
They're not just putting the orchestrated song in front of it. They're putting actual songs that fit the narrative of the story they're about to tell, which in this case is like verse for verse. If you listen to that song, it's like verse for verse explaining to you what's going to happen in this episode.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I am just gonna go on record and say that was the sexiest Marvel opening I've ever seen. So I fully disagree with you.
Fair enough. I liked it. I
fit. Like
I liked the song enough that I actually put it on my Spotify. It was a cool song. It just felt, and I think I've complained about this on Winter Soldier did one episode like this, and it just feels weird to me. That's just a me thing. I'll get over it. Now let's talk about the other music that I know Satomi was hitting on. I want everyone to kind of go back and listen to the orchestration when it had the Loki show up and all that. It was Doctor Who meets the orchestration they've been doing anyway. It had the theremin, and going back to what we were talking about with it has the same rules as Doctor Who for time travel or similar. I thought that was we're on the right track on that. That was definitely inspired by. I thought it was cool. Let's see.
That music is brilliant. I would have loved to have heard more or have it more featured, but yeah. Again, it's like it started and I was like, God, it just sounds so great.
Yeah, that was cool. I loved that. I like the orchestration to start, even if it's just the Marvel thing that they always do with all the Marvel stuff popping up.
Oh, okay.
Just a personal choice. But no, I love that Loki intro on that.
Now, I'm curious. I've got a question for Blythe. What lyrics stuck out in particular that spelled out what was going to happen in the episode?
I'd have to listen again, but there's a whole verse in there about like getting on a train and riding the train until the next stop, and I think there's even a verse in there about enchantment, and like it's weird how like there's so many lines in that song that align with the like scenes from this show. But yeah, it talks about the train, it talks about enchantment. I believe it talks about going to a different world. it's very. I'll send you some stuff, and
Nice.
I'll actually put something in the comments for our listeners,
Yay!
explaining what's
Yay.
going on, so you
And then we'll
guys
copy and
can
paste it
see
everywhere
too.
because we're everywhere. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Check us out on these. Subscribe,
We're
like.
on your
Okay.
mama. What?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa! Whoa! Wow. Only if you're a Norse god, because that's okay in that world.
Oh yeah, well, there's that.
Okay, so let's talk scene 1, which I just called mind control. We talked about the music. I think that the whole rules to this and everything, it feels like it's similar to Inception, and it's similar to the Rick and Morty episode with the the parasites that would just give you happy memories. I feel like those are both definite inspirations to this particular scene. And then I think my biggest takeaway from this beginning was the fact that she remembers everything. That she gave that all up after she left, because you go back when she gave everything up, and she's talking at the last episode when she said, "Oh, I gave everything up." That she remembered that, so it wasn't just like a dream. It was like this happened. I thought that was kind of tweaky.
You mean that she gave up the information about
Yes.
the TVA? Okay.
Mhm.
For a second, I thought you were referencing something that happens at the end. So
No, we're waiting on that.
got you.
Blythe, what did I miss out of this scene? And then we'll go on with everybody.
Just the scene where she's extracting the information from her.
Yeah, it's the whole
so
throwback scene.
I mean, you don't miss much. It's just you can see that it takes Sylvie a little bit of time. And we'll get into this a little bit later when we get into more explanation. But the stronger the mind, the harder she has to work um, to extract information or to gain control. And we see that in the scene because she's talking for a little bit, and then the TVA agent realizes she's in some sort of simulation and is like, "What's going on here?" And then she resets it to another happy memory, and then she starts talking again. So we really get to see Sylvie, what Loki's been trying to figure out how she does it. We really get to see that work and play out.
Cool. I think the brain freeze thing was interesting, but now I get to be that. But actually, that's not true. Any of that with the freezing, that has to do with your blood flow. But I'm just being a butt on that.
I think though, since she is obviously one of the people with a strong mind, that maybe that contributed to the fact that she was able to recall all this, like you're recalling a dream, but understanding that she actually did it.
Well, I mean, going forward, she does say that she did have a strong mind because she had to go back 100 years. I don't want to get too far into that because that's the big reveal. But
yeah, that's just what I'm saying, is that maybe just because of that contributed to her ability to be like to recall that after.
that could be. So, Toby, did you catch anything on this scene or questions or anything?
Well, I'm a little sad because I can't find the actress's name who plays that agent. I've seen
She
her.
seems so familiar.
I know. I've
does.
seen her in other stuff before, and I'm like, where have I seen her?
She looks like
And
that Gabby girl. It'll come back
Sure.
to me later. Like, yeah, that girl.
I mean,
whatever.
she's wonderful. It's one of those things where you see that actress and you're every time it's like, oh, I love her. I love her. So I'm gonna make a point to find out what her name is because I'm embarrassed that I don't know it.
What kind of actress are you? Oh my gosh.
I don't do names, dude. I don't. That's not me.
You're about to force choke me.
I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm just there to play in the sandbox. You know what I'm saying? But
Get what you're throwing down.
yeah, thank you. It to me, I can see what you're saying as far as it's to me, it had little hints of the Capaldi Christmas episode with the face spiders. But definitely it's had its own take on it, and I liked the manipulation, and I actually really liked that I did not recognize either one of them when it started.
Wow.
Like I didn't, my brain did not immediately go, oh, TVA agent and Lady Loki. I was just kind of like, huh. And then as they were talking, I was like, oh, okay, got it. so it was a lot of fun because then everything was a bit of a reveal to me and a
Yeah.
bit of a surprise. And I thought they handled that really, really well because it showed you how her power works.
hmm Exactly.
Yeah.
Like last week, I mean, you saw that she was doing the mind thing,
Mhm.
but that was such a fantastic visual cue. I'm like, it made it 100 times better than last week
Right.
because that wasn't what was going on in my mind. In my mind, she was just reading her brain,
Right. The first
but
time
that
around.
was
Right.
just so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it shows how manipulative it
Yes.
is, you know?
Oh,
Like
Oh yeah.
it's
Sure.
like that's
it's
like a
intrusive.
serious invasion. Yeah, yeah, of your memories and thoughts and everything. It's very, very invasive.
Okay, you ready for scene 2?
Ready.
Okay, scene 2. Let's see. I call this one Into the TVA. Those stun sticks, I gotta say, I didn't find them that impressive before, but after this fighting scene, they're cruel. They are screaming the entire time they're dying. That is a long time to just feel an intense burning of your entire body. And I was like, it reminded me of that. There was a Star Trek episode where guy collects a phaser and it takes twice as long, and so they outlawed it. That's what these felt like to me. I'm like, this seems cruel. If it's just instant death, that's one thing, but that was just like, TVA.
Well, also, I mean, as a
Okay.
variant, it kind of makes me wonder if it's sort of, kind of like an angel when Fred gets taken over by Illyria, where it's sort of like, does it like burn your soul kind of thing? Because there's nothing of that variant left. You know what I mean?
Wow,
It's
that's really
cut off
good
their
on that.
timeline,
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
because
it
it's
looks like
wiping you on
erasing.
all levels.
erasing
Yeah,
you,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah.
taking you
yeah,
out of the
just tearing
timeline
you
completely.
apart at
Yeah,
the molecular level.
yeah.
at the philosophical level. And I know that sounds really. I know I sound like hoity-toity right now, but when you get destroyed with one of that, it takes you out of the timeline that you don't exist and never did.
Right.
That
Mhm.
doesn't. Like, wow, I'm kind of creeping myself out right now. Okay, let's see what else did I get on this one.
Well,
I
it
think,
ups the danger of the TVA,
yeah,
which is nice.
Sure.
Which is
Well,
nice
Yeah.
because then the stakes just went up.
we were just looking at them as a bureaucracy, but these guys are kind of, because I figure if Kang's running the thing, lies.
Which
I
I
had to
never
give you that one.
said I never said that Kang wasn't going to be part of it. I just said we weren't going to see him in this.
We have seen him.
But get out of here. Just like you saw Mephisto in every freaking corner.
No.
Speaking of
Oh,
Mephisto, I'm just
we have a
kidding.
no Mephisto rule on the show.
So that being said, it's not just variants that are suffering. Anytime they go into a different timeline and scrub that timeline, like when we saw Loki just talking to those people, like that's just innocent people that have to go through that whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I never thought about until right now. That's insane. Just
Yeah, that's
billions of people, trillions of people.
like I said in the first place. The TVA is not the good guys.
Well, usually when they go in and do the reset, isn't it like it's either 15-foot or a 30-foot diameter? They actually
They gave us
quantified
the
it at
time.
some
I don't
point.
remember what it was.
Yeah,
though.
and it wasn't the circle wasn't that large, but anybody who's caught, I thought about that actually when they first talked about it, because that means that anybody who's caught in that circle, it's like bye-bye.
Yeah.
And do they just simply never exist, or is somebody like looking for their kid that got caught in the circle for forever now in that timeline?
Seems like
That's
they would just
weird.
be gone.
There's a lot.
Because
Hmm.
this is a
If you
deep,
think
deep
about it.
rabbit hole.
Yes.
This is, let's jump out of this rabbit hole because we're not going to leave this rabbit
No.
hole if we don't.
No.
And
No.
I'm starting to get sad.
There's like flamingo croquet at the other end of this.
Hulk
So
sad.
let's keep going.
Okay, so let's see what else. I think Loki's choice of a dagger says a lot about him as a character.
Yes.
The up close has to literally be in your face to kill you type thing. I think that says a lot about Loki because he wants to enjoy the kill and he wants to see you. And
Well, it's not only that. I have so much to say today. Oh my god. But it's that whole like, it's that whole like D&D, the thief is always the one who kind of sidles up and smiles. And with that smile, you always think of the glint of a dagger. It's never
Yeah.
like it's it's the force of the sword, but it's the glint of a dagger, something that you can conceal. I
Yeah.
think that sort of plays to his.
And the love thing, but we'll get to that later with that dagger thing. 'Cause
Uh,
that's such a
Well,
great
like
oh
moment.
my
you
god,
know,
what a great scene! I'm
the
so
dagger thing too, and working kind of into that. That's a very intimate way if you're going to kill somebody, sneaking up or whatever. I mean, because you are close. That's a very intimate way of taking someone out. It's not just like, oh, I shot him or something. Like you're like, so that actually fits too with not only Loki but the later discussion
Yeah.
with the dagger.
And then finally, when Ravina said to kill Loki, she was not bluffing. She does not give a crap. Um,
he already broke the rules.
well, Lottie Dodd. That. Oh my God, she's. I'm starting to see the evil in this character, and I don't like her. I did like her, but
Do we have to have this talk again?
oh, stop it. Stop it. My favorite character is Miss Minutes. Leave me alone.
Again,
That's my strong female character.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
but do you think it's evil, or do you think it's that she just gets done what she knows has to get done?
well, because of my belief on where this is going, I believe she's evil because she's
Okay,
definitely with a very evil person.
that's
And you
right.
couldn't be with a person that evil and have really any purity.
So if
Yes,
if you're going by the character,
What
you
I
know,
think is going to happen and what I know from comics, yes.
then
And
she's
that doesn't
not just
necessarily mean it's going to.
yeah, she's not just being the boss lady, you know, and
Yeah.
getting the work done. I mean, she is, but well, she's trying, but she's working under that veil of evil
Yeah.
intentions. Okay.
now I don't know what happens with this character, but it could also be somebody who thinks that they are working for the greater good.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you, Satomi, because you've asked me not to ever spoil this kind of stuff. So
Yes. Yeah.
therefore, I will not tell you. But I'll tell
Okay.
you at the end of the show.
I like the
Depending
surprise.
what
I do like
happens.
the surprises. I do like the but
Yeah, she gets mad at me when I give her a reading list before these. No, I'm not going to read this. I want to be surprised.
yes, I'll read it afterwards.
So, am I missing anything on this scene? Let's start with
Nope.
Wise.
No, I don't think so. I think we got it pretty much covered. Yeah, with I still think that she doesn't know. I think she believes the Time Masters are really doing what they think that they're doing. But I think she doesn't. She doesn't really know, and I think Loki's about to uncover that, and that's why she wants him dead.
That's
He's about to open a door to a room
gold
of
door, in
nothing,
fact.
of nothingness. There's just nothing going to be behind that door.
I don't. No, I'm not, because of and I can say this because of the teaser trailer that they put out before it. I think behind the gold doors is that MC Escher world that we see Loki running through for like half a second in that trailer. I think that's the world we're going into next, where physics don't really apply. Everything's going to be topsy-turvy.
Loki's going to the Department of Mysteries.
Yes.
Awesome.
He's going to take a number this time.
Field trip.
Okay, anything else that I missed from any of you guys? Okay, let's go on to scene 3, Lamentis 1. I'll go through my stuff real quick. Yay, Miss Minutes. Yay. Sad we don't get to hear her talk. I'm sad.
I totally missed her. I didn't
Yeah, I
even
was about
see
to say
her.
where.
I had to go back
she is
and look
in the
whatchamacallit. You know,
I
the
want to
thing.
say transporter, but that's not what they called
The
it.
temp
No,
pad?
they call it temp.
Yeah, the
temp
temp
pad.
pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got
she's
the little
on
thing,
there.
I'm out of power.
Oh.
Like, oh, I don't want to see more of her.
Maybe that was the end of her. She's dead.
You can stop
Aw.
right now. You can shut your dirty mouth. I will
She
shave
was
your
in the
beard
temp
and
pad
feed
and
it
got
to Loki.
crushed.
That's just ugly, man. That's not nice. I love Loki's fighting style in this, and more on Loki's fighting style later, so I don't want to hit to that really. See. Would you trust a truce from either of these two?
Hell no.
Neither of them should trust each other because they're both
Hell
evil.
no.
Of course you would. Why?
You'd
They know
want
what they're doing.
to. You'd want to,
Yeah, you'd hope.
but you shouldn't.
And let's see, all the purple in this world is really visually stunning. It's just like, is Prince gonna pop out and start singing Purple Rain soon? Then I would totally excuse having a pop song in there, you know. But
It reminded me a lot of Boromir in Endgame and in Infinity War
Yeah.
when they go to get the Soul Stone. It had that kind of vibe to it.
I'm sorry, for a second I was like, what does Lord of the Rings have to gotcha. Okay. I'm back. I'm back.
Nice.
I love you. That was excellent.
Now,
Boromir wasn't purple. What are you saying?
Yes, I'm so confused.
let's see what else we got on here. Girl Loki is officially Sylvie. This means that, okay, the theory earlier could still be correct if you stretch it and figure it out about her not being a Loki at all. With what she said, that's pretty proof positive that she is a Loki. She's just changing her identity.
There's
Um,
also some other stuff that happens
there is a theory, and I'm going to give this real quick because this was Courtney's. She thinks that it is actually Loki's daughter, and that can kind of play. That makes a lot of sense. I'm not 100% bought into it, but because Courtney gave me that, I wanted to throw that out there on because she's not here today.
She tried real hard to kill him. I mean, not that, you know,
Yeah.
patricide is not an option, but you know.
Well, and also that Loki wouldn't have been her father. That's a different
That
Loki.
yeah.
It would be a different Loki from a different time style.
Yeah.
So maybe she doesn't. If it is her father, maybe she does. She knows it's not really her father, and she doesn't have a connection with him. That's what I thought initially when they first revealed her, is that it was a daughter and that she was out for vengeance against her father.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, that could still play for sure.
It could. I'm starting to really lean towards the she is a Loki. She just trying to get away from being Loki. Because there's either way, there's a lot of similarities if it's daughter or if it's him.
Can someone explain to me then why would she choose, if I understand correctly, why would she choose Sylvie to be called Sylvie when Sylvie is Enchantress, correct?
Yes. I
Two
don't
separate characters?
It could be and it could not be.
Okay.
Like Blythe always tells me when I get excited about my comic book theories, this is the MCU. It's not just about the comics. He gets mad at me all the time and yells at me about that.
So they could be massaging the comic books to
which they do that. They do that a lot.
They do.
Yeah.
I think just because, as a non-comic book, guru, it just it helps me to kind of get it straight. And then I start thinking, well, okay, if they're two separate characters, and I know this is different in the comic books, then why would she choose that here? I mean, are they just trying to mess with me, or I thought I understood?
In the comic books, Sylvie is a girl who Loki gave powers to, and then she becomes the Enchantress. In this, they could definitely make it so she is a Loki who doesn't want to be a Loki, finds her own identity, and then becomes this could be the MCU origin of the Enchantress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it definitely could be that they're using that same character type, especially if they're wanting to slate her into the Young Avengers, which that's what these shows seem to be doing, because every episode we get a couple new Young Avengers. Also, W like this, I believe the first run of Young Avengers, they go to Lamentis, and their first fight is against Kang the Conqueror.
Wow.
So it also could be, I mean, things are pointing to Young Avengers, and I think that's where this character is going.
It's just the path that they chose to take her down, possibly.
Now, Young Avengers, I think that is set in stone.
100%, yeah.
But I think that, like the Sylvie thing and all that, I think that we're still going to see a lot of massaging. We're still going to see a lot of just weaving. very much the same how they're going to do the Spider-Man movie that's coming up with bringing all the Spider-Men together, or even
And
into the
I say
Spider-Verse.
this with the utmost respect, but Sylvie doesn't seem that young.
I'm not disagreeing, and I don't know why. I was wondering on the same thing.
Yeah.
That's been kind of my thing too, because also the kid who, or I mean, he's not a kid, but the guy who is supposed to take up Falcon, he's established as being in the military, so he's at very least he's 18 years old, but he seemed to already have made a place in the military where he's helping Sam on missions and doing. He's not like, he doesn't seem like a kid that's just out of boot camp.
Right.
So
Like at least in his
yeah,
20s.
I think if they
Or
go Young
20.
Avengers, yeah, they're going to. It'll be somewhere within the range of like
College.
early
Friends.
20s, early 20s to exactly friends.
Now,
early 20s to like mid to late 20s.
Now, another thing that like DC did, and this is the last of this rabbit hole we'll go down. What DC did with their Teen Titans, they had like the older Robin and Firestar were 10 years older than everybody else in the group, and they were mentors. They were still technically kids because they were younger, but they were like more of the paternal characters. And then that way you can have the other characters as well. So I think that could be how they're going to do all that as well. Don't know, but that's just my guess. Anything I'm missing on this scene before we get on to they get shot? Spoiler. Okay.
It's so funny.
Well, they did, and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
Scene
Kinda
3, they
lost
both
it.
get shot. My notes for this is I love this scene. That was my entire notes. Seeing Loki do everything 100% right with the diplomacy and trying to just give this heartfelt moment to this woman, and boom, he's never said a nice word like that his entire life.
I actually thought watching her get shot was funnier.
She
'cause it was
deserved
just because she's,
she was.
she's trying to be all, awesome and kick the door in, and all of a sudden it's just like
Immediately.
out of nowhere. Yeah, right on her butt, and it was amazing.
And it was just set for such a, just with the Loki thing, it was so set up to just be such a heartfelt moment. It's like, nope, not gonna give you that.
Oh, see, and I was getting that manipulative SOB. This is because it was so over the top, and I mean, the reason I loved it was because it was Loki being. We got a lot more of Loki being Loki this episode.
Yes.
That it tickled me because it's like, here he is.
Tickle,
Here
tickle.
he is.
Sorry.
He's the trickster.
Bad joke.
Um,
Anything else we want to talk to you about that?
Yeah, there's actually two things I want to call out about this scene. One, I don't know if it hit any of you guys, but when they show the lady with the gun, immediately I thought of the gun that Rocket holds in Guardians of the Galaxy, which made me think, are these people Xandarians? Like that, like a Xandarian colony that was put on this world, and now this world is being decimated, just like how Thanos decimated their planet.
Can we save that?
Wow.
Let's save that because comes to something. Put a pin in that. We are talking about that today, but I don't want to jump too far forward on that.
The picture that Loki looks at to see her husband, isn't that not the, I can't remember that
American Gothic,
but the art piece. Yes,
it was American
like how
Gothic.
they were standing.
It was American
with the pitchfork.
Did he have a pitchfork?
Yes,
I missed
that.
Loki didn't, but it was in the picture.
Yeah, it may not have been a pitchfork. It may have been some sort of like
that looked like a pitchfork.
It was
like
it looked like a
shovel or rake or something. Yeah, I totally missed that. That's funny.
I thought that was a nice touch. And no, Blythe, you are 100% correct, but I do want to hit that when we get into the city because that's.
He just told me I was 100% correct. We've got this recorded.
It's recording.
I'm just gonna loop that.
This one thing.
Over and over.
We're gonna put it on a button.
The sad part, that's going to be Blythe's ringtone just because he needs a little pick-me-up during the day.
I was just thinking of that. Like anytime Dub calls. You're right.
You're 100% correct. Okay, so scene 5, they're on the train. I love that they both have the same proclivities to how they sit, where they sit, and for different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
because they're just stubborn buttholes. They are. Yeah, but this is when you start to love these characters, and I don't want to say because there's no romantic, but you start to love these as a couple, as this team that you know is going to turn on each other, but you start to love them. This is the scene I think it
This
happens.
is sort of a bromance moment.
It really is.
Although I will tell you, I did have a moment where I thought, huh, I wonder if Loki could fall in love with himself.
Yes.
With herself. And I mean, what that would say about the psyche of Loki, not only, you fall in love with yourself, but if you want to head shrink him, a lot of this comes out of so much self-hatred. So if he
Yeah.
does fall in love with himself, then that is a big win because it's actual self-acceptance. All right.
Wow.
I will
But
get off the couch now.
do you think? Well,
Lord,
That was
jump back on that
deep.
couch for 1 second.
okay, tell me about your mother.
Well, speaking of the mother, but we have a
We
second
talked
on
about
one.
that earlier.
Yeah.
We got another one on that. I think that could Loki actually love someone that wasn't himself? So I think this would be a quote unquote marriage made in heaven, because he could not respect anybody that he does not find to be as intelligent as he is.
True.
Anybody. That's
True.
why he hates most of the Norse gods, because they're not as smart as him.
It would almost
But
be
he
the
also thinks
perfect pairing.
he also
Go ahead.
thinks he's the superior Loki. Like he went through the whole first and
Yeah.
second episode being like, this Loki's not as good as me, so because I know every step of the way. So I don't know. I can see it, and I can also see him not thinking that Loki was as superior as he sees himself to be.
Yeah.
So like not worthy of
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that could be what the journey is on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
on this
Mhm.
show.
True.
Now, with the tell me about your mother thing, you can see when they're talking about when he talks about Frigga dying, you can see him finally start. He didn't come to grips with it when he watched it. I felt like in this moment, you could kind of see it in his eyes when he's talking about it. He was definitely coming to grips with that, and what must happen, and that he's going to be if he can fix it, he doesn't know. I thought that
What
was a
is this the one where this is a scene where they start talking about love?
yes,
Can't define it.
They
yeah,
talk about their parents for a little bit.
yeah.
right
This is a
before.
lot of talking. So there's a lot to unpack.
Mhm.
One of the things that I enjoyed about this episode is where the first two episodes, when they got into the talkie, they lost me a little bit, and in this one they did not.
Yeah,
In this one I was along for the ride.
I think they did. They plotted it better.
They plotted
There-
it
You
better. It
think
was
it's-
paced better. Yeah.
Do you think it's because it's a little less exposition and a little bit more character building, and the
Yes.
characters are so interesting that we want to dive into the psyches of them?
Well,
Yeah.
we've said a million times that anytime Loki is on screen, that's the most interesting person on screen, and you want to know what he's doing. So now you have two of them.
True.
Well, you have two of them, and you're also seeing how they're getting used to each other, they're interacting, the chemistry between them, that I think honestly was there in the beginning is actually developing as well and becoming stronger, regardless of what happens or what the relationship is, other than, assuming they are both Lokis, then you're that's the interesting part for me is you're actually watching this back and forth now. And so here's a question too. Like there was a comment when they were sitting there talking about family and the moms and all, and his mom and talking about magic, to the effect of who taught you magic or something. And he said, our mother. And I half expected her to say, well, not my mom or something. So is that what he was referring to? Like as our mother, him and her?
I
And
think
she
so.
had no objection to that?
I think
Because she's objected every single other time.
my thoughts when she's, saying the love note to, my mother died when I was very young, and I only remember her in feelings. The same feelings that Loki's describing, she has for Frigga. I
Okay.
think Now here's where the timeline thing blows me away, and maybe Blythe or somebody can help me figure this out. There is so much more than a single variation between these two. It's not just that it's a girl. They are very different. There's a lot of things on the timeline that should have tweaked out and blown up the timeline years ago. Is this bad script writing? Is this something we just
she's
don't
a
know?
variant.
She's
Yeah,
very,
her
but
timeline's gone.
everything's different. It's not just like a step, because they're supposed to get somebody after they take the one step of difference. Otherwise, the timeline's changed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So there should have been,
As a baby,
for
she should have
her,
been taken out.
because if she was a true variant, then that means that when she was conceived, they should have known immediately that something was wrong, and she would have been, unless maybe that's why she knew about the whole apocalypse scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
is
she did say.
because
Oh, go ahead.
her world, wherever she was born, wherever she was raised, was always destined to be an apocalypse world. So the TVA never blips on their radar. Anything that happens on an apocalypse world doesn't even blip on the TVA's radar. So, and maybe that's how her mom died. Maybe she died and then she found some way to jump to a timeline, and she just kept hopping timelines. Maybe that's how she grew up, and that's why she's so mad.
That could work.
At the TVA, they've been chasing her for
makes
years
sense.
at that point. Yeah,
because she does say something along the lines of, I've been fighting them all my life. I don't think
Mhm.
she actually says that, but something that indicates that. Yeah. So maybe she's just been on the other side of this whole time.
We are going a whole lot deeper psychologically than I thought we'd go on this episode. This is
Feeling
actually
very
really
deep
cool.
today.
Or maybe
I like
she's
it.
not a Loki. I mean,
Oh yeah, she's not. That's also a thing. If she's not a Loki, then she wouldn't be a variant.
Yeah,
because they have not.
Then none of that would
confirmed-
even apply to her. Then sorry.
She has not once said. She did say, "Don't call me Loki because I'm not Loki." She said like, "I'm not Loki, I'm Sylvie," or something like that.
Yeah, well, she was very familiar. But she said I
like,
used to be a Loki,
and
I
now
changed who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, she could be lying.
She could be. She could be the variant of the Enchantress.
True. Mm-hmm.
And now Courtney likes me again. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Is there going to be a payoff to the postman that she's dating?
Yeah. Stan Lee.
You think?
Yeah, Stan Lee was the FedEx driver in Civil War. And we know that Stan Lee can traverse time and space because he was with the Watchers at the end of, I think it was Guardians 2.
I don't know how they'll do it, but
I'm sure it's
you're wishful thinking right now, but yes, I think yes.
Exactly.
Well, CGI.
She was dating Stan Lee.
Honestly, I do hope that there is some payoff on that, and I hope it's just an incredible character we're not thinking of. I just feel like that was a lot of time to spend on that. Yeah.
You know what though? We thought the same thing in WandaVision when she was like, "I've got an engineer friend that's going to come help us out."
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Is it Reed Richards? Is it?
I'm still mad.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. We clutch onto every word thinking it's going to be something, and then sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, now I want to hit this real quick. This was the discussion that I think that we're going to hit this quickly. Because I don't care we're not going political on this. With the Loki being gender fluid is the same character that he has been in Norse mythology. He was also a horse with 8 legs and a female horse that gave birth to a wolf. Yeah. I think they did. This is all I'm going to say on it. I think they did a fantastic job of bringing that up without being in your face, preachy. And it was just like, this is the way it is. Let's move. And no judgments, no nothing. I think that was the right way. If you want to handle something like this on these shows, that's how you do it. And it's not, otherwise I would have hated this scene if things are being pushed at you. Nothing's being pushed. It's like, okay, cool. That's what it is. Let's move on. I thought that was a very proper way of doing it.
Yeah, it's life. It's normal.
Yeah, it's just normal. It's just the character that he is.
Yeah.
In all cultures, have had for thousands of years, have had gender fluid and I mean characters is the wrong word for it, but gods and and characters. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
This is nothing new.
No, and it's all part, I love getting deeper into who Loki is.
Yeah.
Just in general. So all of it is really cool.
Which again, that is why there can be a female Loki and it's Loki.
Yeah, you don't even like question that. You're like, okay.
Okay, let's see what else. So when Loki's drunk, why on God's green earth did he put the variant jacket back on?
I think he just got comfortable. You get comfortable, your guard gets let down, he's having fun.
It's a target on your back.
Trains are cold. Have you ever been on a train? Air conditioning is bumping. It gets cold. It's all he had. That was his jacket.
It's a space train. I'm sure that it's better than that.
It's like a members
That's even
only
worse. It's
jacket.
in space. Space is inherently cold.
But he's drinking that champagne.
He figured it didn't matter because he's on an apocalypse world.
That's true too.
That's true. So what was everybody's thoughts of the Thor homage? When he's drinking, throws the glass down, another. And that was and it was exactly how they did it with Thor. And I thought that was a nice, it actually shows how close that Thor and Loki really are.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to admit it.
It's another thing that kind of pushes this Loki to be the Loki that we have been going through all these years. That Loki's dead, but now this Loki is growing into and is showing us that he's not so different from our original Loki.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do this quick because we're starting to run out of time already. I'm so sorry. Wow, we are going way deep. Okay, the love conversation. Whose do you agree with more? Do you like Sylvie's or do you like Loki's?
No, come on. You know what they're going to say.
I know what they're going to say. I know what I say. Mine's, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh, we just hit the button.
I mean, okay, so yeah, Loki's to a certain point, and then it kind of just went off the rails, and I'm like, well, that's dysfunctional. I don't think that's love, but okay.
It's a little
so
murdery.
I don't. Well, little jabby, yeah. So I don't agree with either one.
Fair enough.
But I really liked, Loki's sincerity when he was trying so hard to be like, love is a dagger. And just, but then it
reminded me of high school. Yeah.
All of our poetry that we wrote, right?
Poetic, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, he had me to a certain point. I still love him, but we're going to have to talk about his views on love in the future.
Well, let's be honest. Does Loki know what love is?
I mean,
Frigga, but that's about it.
Yeah, the love you have for your mom is one thing, though. I don't think he has any concept of actual selfless love.
I don't think either one of them do.
No,
which is why they're.
She clearly doesn't.
What love is. Neither one is. Rather than neither one, both of them are a reflection of what their experiences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both, if you boil it down, is pretty similar. Love is hate.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Although definitely if Loki were telling it to me the way he was in that scene, I'd be like, sure, whatever. I agree, sure. Because it was beautifully done. It was beautifully done. And super quick, can we talk about the song he was singing?
Yeah, because we just glazed over the most amazing part of this episode.
So good.
My heart
with the singing.
Yes.
This is drunk dub at a bar. That
No, I don't think you understand.
Only without the talent.
Giving yourself a lot of credit.
I said without the talent.
Yeah, okay. Because when he went into that slow solo and I melted, yeah, that was the moment.
Does anybody know what language
I fell in love.
Was that an earthly language? Was
that sounded like
was that Viking?
Nordic? That sounded I can't tell you which region, but it's Nordic.
Okay, it sounded like it, but I didn't know if anybody actually had any
It
confirmation on that. So
I
If any
don't.
listeners do, like, comment,
let
because
us
yeah,
know.
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I know, but I don't know, so I don't want to say.
Yeah.
But it's definitely in the Scandinavian region. Okay, let's see. Let's move on to scene 6. We have 2 scenes left. Now, scene 6 is the brain breaker, and we'll do that one part last. So I call this one off the train. So when Loki pulls out the temporal
The
toy,
temp pad. Mhm.
temp pad, thank you. Does anybody on Earth actually believe it's broken?
I didn't. I was like,
I didn't buy
I
it for a
think he's still
second.
got it in his pocket somewhere. I think he was trying to find out how far this gal would go. It's because he's always about manipulation, and so he's
Mhm.
gathering him. He told her a lot about himself. You think he's just gonna hand that over without trying
Mm-mm.
to find out something about her? And this is the perfect way to find out, is to take that off the table.
Yeah. Blythe?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I was gonna
I
say
thought it was
everything he
broken.
does.
I honestly didn't think about that until you just said it. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not. I don't know. Maybe it is because I'm expecting Mobius to come in and save them at the last minute in the next episode. I think that's how it's going to play out. So, and if it does play out that way, then that thing being broken doesn't really matter unless he uses it later on, like in the show, episode 5 or 6. He needs to get out of something, or needs to get both of them out of something, and he whips it out and uses it.
yeah.
Or she somehow finds out later that it wasn't broken the whole
Wasn't
time,
broken,
and
yeah.
and so he was basically
Manipulating.
manipulating,
Yeah,
which
Doing what
makes
Loki
sense.
does.
Right when she starts to trust him,
Yeah, be like
she
that
finds
breaking
out it's
point.
not broken. Yeah.
Maybe. Just a theory. What's the possibility? I mean, she explained that how, that she has to go deeper in the smarter the mind, and we're not going to hit that one part, but the smarter the mind or more intelligent the mind, the harder she has to be. So she has to be in the fantasy with whoever that they're with, if it's a intelligent person or they have a strong mind. What do you think the odds are that this could be her fantasy to Loki?
This whole thing.
This
This whole
whole,
thing?
not the whole thing, but this part right here. Luminous One.
Oh,
Or
like
Lamentis One.
Momentous.
so like from the moment when she tried to enchant him.
Yes.
Where were they when that
Mm.
happened though? Weren't they already on Lamentis at that point?
They had just
They
they were in that
in the
little
mine. Yeah.
yeah.
I would
It's
hate
just
it
a
if they
theory.
did that. I would hate it.
What would
I hate
be
that, man, when they do that.
Like
Like,
lost all over again.
yeah.
what would be her end game? Because she hasn't really been trying to extract information or anything from him.
She said that, what was it? He said or she said, well, I've given you all the information on me. Well, I have a tactical advantage.
Yeah.
I say that it probably isn't. That was just a thought.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think so, but yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
possible.
not buying
I
it.
will be mad if they do that, at least right now.
No one likes a dream sequence.
Oh my god, like the Buffy episode.
JR's not dead.
Like the insane asylum
Gosh.
episode. And every time they do that, it's like it's such a cheap shot, man.
Fair enough. I say that was just something that struck me. Okay, this is the big reveal from the entire episode. So when you find out that all the TVA agents aren't created by King, they are variants that have been brainwashed with no free will. The TVA is slaves.
So here's
Oh my
what
gosh!
I was trying to think of though. Is the TVA taking them, or are they true? Is everything that they're saying about variants true? Variants are people who go off their timeline and they start another timeline, and but instead of clipping them, they just recruit them. So they should be dead anyway, but they're just using that person as a slave to the Time Masters. That's what I took from it. is that they are variants, but they're people who were already messing with the timeline, so they wiped them and used them for their own thing. And also, it explains why Mobius is so infatuated
With
with
the
jet
90s.
skis, because he
And
was
Joestar.
plucked off of a jet ski. He was trying to escape from TVA on his jet ski, and they took him right off.
So that's actually really good. That's really good thought. But so, and I was going to pose a question before you said they were wiped. So essentially, like she said, they have no idea that they're variants. So they would just wipe that whole memory slate clean.
So essentially, the TVA is like just a recycling agency,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like people recycling.
It's pretty heinous.
The recycling
is it,
agency
though?
of the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the timekeepers themselves? Are the timekeepers actually even
Good.
there? I mean,
I
is it
think
like
they're
a
a
Oz
story.
behind the curtain thing? Like what?
That's
like,
what I think it is. I don't think the time. I think Kang is definitely part of it, and I think maybe he is the one who created the TVA. But I don't think there's three of them. I don't think there's three Time Masters. I don't think they're weaving time together or searching. Like Mobius said, they're like making everything as it's going until they get to the end, and then once they get to the end, everything's done. I think it's just Kang's way of manipulating the timeline to his bidding, because that's what Kang does.
and yeah, and that makes more sense to me. And collecting all of these people to be like the little worker bees, that he's
Yeah.
essentially controlling makes way more sense to me than there's these, three beings at this point, especially with this knowledge that was just thrown in this episode. It
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
I think there's three, just because I believe that there is. Because I don't see an end game of what good would it do to make up the other two.
Sure.
I mean, it's just you can make up, symbols of a belief system or something. You can make these things up. It doesn't mean there's actually three beings. You could just say there were, right? Like you could just.
Yeah.
But we know at least one of them does exist.
How do we know
So,
at least one of them does exist?
We don't. Just based on the Kang the Conqueror theory.
Yeah, which
Okay.
I don't think
one of them is
can.
Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. And by the way, when it showed the flashback, that's the only face they showed was Kang's on the statues. Not that it's that important.
You can't call that thing Kang. We don't know if it's Kang.
It's Kang. I can call
But if
whatever I want to.
I'm just saying, if I decided I was Michelle the Conqueror and I,
You can travel through time?
Not revealing my secrets to you, Dub. But if I decided I was going to be, that, why wouldn't I want to just make up? I could just say there were three. It doesn't matter if there's one or none or.
Yeah.
So I guess
mean,
that's my thought process. I guess that there's
it
not
also
really.
may be one of our awesome listeners, Shane, on YouTube commented, and his first thought went to the Living Tribunal. It may be an interpretation of the Living Tribunal. So
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah,
and that was kind of something that I needed to look into too, because I didn't quite understand, were they the same, separate? What role did the timekeepers and the tribunal play as far as the timeline is concerned?
Yeah.
So pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to our last scene in the city. Now, there's a couple things I got to hit on this. The language that we see in there, this goes back to what Blythe was talking about earlier, is the same language we see on Peter Quill's T-shirt in Guardians 2. This is also the language. This is supposedly the Krill language. So this is just an outpost. These are people that are Krill that are living up there. So it didn't wipe out a species of people. It wiped out a bunch of settlers, which sucks, but it's
Well,
it's
which
not as
ties
extreme
into
as
the
we
whole
said. Yeah.
Xandarian
Yeah.
theory that Bly's had earlier.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's where they all. That's why I wanted to wait on that because the language says yes, this is them.
It's
Yeah.
also the language that's on Rocket's HUD in the first Guardians when he's he's like bounty hunting through all the people. Same language on there.
Yeah.
Um,
So they're widespread
just-
throughout the galaxy.
yeah, I think that we just have a very tight building of the cosmic end of the MCU. Like what James Gunn started in Guardians of the Galaxy has been what Marvel is doing with their universe, because we saw it in Guardians 2, Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, that whole thing. Like it's got that whole vibe of being just like colorful and neon lights and all that kind of stuff.
Which I'm hoping they're transferring more to that because I love that look. Space world should be purples and neons, and I'm happy.
But that was kind of like the quintessential like apocalyptic, mess.
It was.
that
It
we've
was
seen
like
before in other movies.
It was like Running Man, or not Run. Yeah, a little bit of Running Man, Blade Runner.
Mhm.
I got Total Recall. Like,
Yeah.
Total Recall.
yeah.
Yeah,
Recall.
Oh, heck
Very.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking of too. Yeah, it's that
a lot of
exact
sci-fi
feel.
homage
Yeah.
in these. Now, my last point. You guys bring up whatever after that, but so when the building almost falls on them, and suddenly it appears that Loki lifts the thing up. Loki looks surprised that it happened. Either Loki's didn't know his magic was that strong, or someone else intervened.
There was like a delay, right?
There was, yeah.
He was almost like on pause, like, wait, did I do that? Or
And most people didn't pick that up. But that's there's that
I
delay.
caught that too. I was a little like, huh. I can't put it into words, but they did very, if that's what they were intending to convey, they did a good job of it without throwing it in your face.
And did you see what else was missing when that happened?
The green.
There was no green magic.
There was no green. It just stopped.
It just stopped. That sounds more like TVA energy. So maybe that this is Mobius.
it's like Mobius.
Maybe this is something. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's an interesting thing that people aren't looking at. So all the YouTubers that said this is a filler episode, shut up. There was a lot in this.
There was a lot. And can we talk real quick about that last moment when you're looking
Roll
at real quick?
Okay.
When you're looking at the Ark, because I'm thinking the Ark made it off world and got destroyed on its way. And that sucker gets split in half on the freaking launch pad. What a great moment. What a great moment.
That was an Empire. That was an Empire moment.
Yep.
Perfect ending.
Yep. It was perfect. Perfect. And it was the moment that I was like, you can't end the episode.
I know.
End the episode. What are you can't do that.
I remember sitting there like, wait, did that just happen? And then it's roll credits. So
and I don't know if you guys been hanging around and watching the credits.
Yeah.
They change a couple of things every episode. And this episode had pictures. This is why I think it might have been Mobius doing it. What made me think of that it wasn't Loki that lifted it. Because this time there was pictures. It's like it was a follow cam of Loki and Silva, and they're being followed pictures. So they're still being watched.
Like from a vantage point.
From a vantage point, yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Nice catch.
That would explain the overly dramatic pause and sort of confusion.
Because it was a throwaway scene, yeah. And that was like, but it felt important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will feel stupid if it had nothing to do with anything, but it just seemed a little too obvious for me. But I like the Mobius idea.
That again, that's just my guess. Okay, is there anything else we're hitting? Start with you, Blythe.
Nope, I think we got it covered.
Michelle?
Good.
Nope.
Okay, so let's end this how we always ended. What'd you grade it? Let's start with Michelle. What do you grade this one?
Because because it brought me closer to understanding this character and falling in love with him and all of the things. And like you said, it's not a filler episode. There was a lot in here that even someone like me who doesn't understand a lot of the things like can get something out of. So I'm going to say A-.
Very good.
That's my grade.
Satomi?
I'm on board with Michelle on that. I'm sort of a solid B+, A-. It moves a lot better than the first 2 episodes did for me. I thought there was a lot that was going on. And what I loved is how it made me feel, because nothing was in your face. Everything was just kind of like, huh, what just happened? So you're constantly going, there's something going on. And I
Yeah.
enjoyed that it kept me off balance.
Very good. Blythe?
It's A all the way, man. Marvel's gonna have to do something really dumb in order for me to not be on board with any of the stuff that they were putting out. So, A+. I'm super stoked for next week's episode, and I cannot wait for it to come. I wish it was Wednesday today.
Okay, I'm going with the B+. Yeah, I think that it was just it was an exciting episode without being in your face. They gave you all this cool information without it feeling like a desperate Hail Mary throw. Like usually in these series, this is about the time they start doing some Hail Mary passes because like we got to get all this information out, and they gave you a lot, and it didn't feel like we're cramming it in. And
yeah, it wasn't just like
a
dump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely appreciated. So B+. Yeah. So check us out on the YouTube, like us and share us, and the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram. Go to the website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the column we paid extra for it. Buy a shirt because they're cool. Yeah, go be a Patreon subscriber. We got more Marvel movies coming out every week. And until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Michelle. I'm here with Blythe. I'm here with Satomi. Keep on geeking on, kids.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.